Now, what do you think success is deemed by? Making a bunch of money? Having the admiration of millions? No, none of those. You know you or your franchise has truly made it if it gets referenced on The Simpsons. If your property starts getting parodied through different mediums, that's how you know you've truly made it in life. Which got me thinking, how many times has Sonic the Hedgehog been parodied in other media? I wouldn't expect it to be more than a series like Super Mario. It seems that every show out there has at least one Mario parody. He's basically what any normie uses when they want to make generic video game references. But Sonic at the very least should have more than Crash fucking Bandicoot. I should also note that I'm not going to be referencing every Sonic parody out there. I'm not some all-knowing Sonic god that can detect any time he's used in a show. I'm still trying to rise the ranks to become the Sonic lore master. But I'm going to talk about some of the more interesting ones. And believe you me, some of these can be really interesting. This also means I won't be using times when Sonic himself was straight up used or cameos in another show. Like, there's a surprising amount of British dramas that have Sonic cameo at certain parts.
Whoa! Look at that hedgehog, Gob! I tell you what, if there was all as fast as Sonic, there'd be a lot fewer accidents on the road.
Watch what happens when I do this.
What did you push?
And I think the most amazing cameo Sonic has ever gotten is in Breaking Bad, where not only is there a scene of the characters playing Sonic in Sega All-Stars Racing, but a clip where they're playing Sonic 06 and having the time of their fucking lives.
Now, how are you doing all those back? Tell me.
Cheat code.
There are no cheat codes in Sonic 06, you lamb piece of shit. Kids these days, I tell you what. Anyway, I got off track for a bit there. My point being, no direct Sonic references, it has to be a parody. So no OKKO, Let's Meet Sonic or any of that shit. Now I think we should start with the time a Sonic reference was made on not only one of the most critically acclaimed shows of all time, but also one of the longest running. It stars an average family, dad, mum, boy, girl, baby, and dog. That's right, it's Family Guy. There's an episode of Family Guy where Peter is playing a game in a video store, and in the background we see a variety of game and movie posters, including Brave, Grand Theft Auto, Portal 2, and I think this is Call of Duty, but it could be any one of those first-person shooters. But the one that caught most people off guard was a fucking Sonic 06 reference. When you're a proper background designer, one of the best jobs to get must be to draw fake game and movie posters, and whoever drew this clearly had immaculate tastes. And if you're saying, "But Splash Dash, I thought you said it had to be a parody, that is clearly just the Sonic 06 box art." Well, shithead, if you paid attention, you'd notice that this isn't just some crudely drawn Sonic, it's actually a human with Sonic spikes and gloves, running in the same pose. So evidently this is not Sonic 06, but in fact, Sonic Man 06, thank you very much. But as we all know, of course a man by the name of Matt Groening had to go and rip off Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy with its poor imitator, The Simpsons. But if there's one thing I'll give it, it's that The Simpsons included way more Sonic parodies and references. 4 to be exact. In the Season 7 episode Marge Be Not Proud, which also just happens to be one of the best episodes of the series, Bart is contemplating stealing the new video game Bone Storm, and just then a bunch of video game characters start appearing to him, convincing him to take it. There's Donkey Kong, Mario, Luigi, and of course since this season was in the mid-90s, Sonic makes a brief appearance telling Bart to
Just take it! Take it, take it, take it, take it, take it!
Funnily enough, over 2 decades later, this joke was again referenced in LEGO Dimensions of all places. If you have Sonic and Bart stand next to each other, we'll hear Roger Craig Smith's rendition of the line.
Hey Bart, remember, if you see a gold brick lying around, just take it! Take it, take it, take it, take it! Take it!
Now this one isn't a parody, but I felt like talking about it anyway. But there's another episode called That 90s Show that shows Marge and Homer at college despite that making no sense in this timeline, where Homer says,
"I understand. We should follow the lead of today's celebrity role models."
It's sort of weird how many people believe Sonic was a character that only existed in the 90s. Like, there are so many completely unaware that Sonic is still a semi-popular character that has new game releases yearly. Or I mean, at least at one point had new game releases yearly. This was extremely apparent with the promotional interviews for the Sonic movie, which only ever referred to him as a video game character from the 90s. I'd say Sonic is seen in a similar way to a franchise like Ninja Turtles, where its peak popularity has waned a long time ago, but has still managed to stay around because of the people who never managed to let their obsession go. And also, using the modern designs and logo in an episode from the 90s. Boy, I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder. There's another episode that has this completely bizarre parody of Sonic in the background of E4, which has a ponytail and no nose. I'm not even going to dignify this one with a segment over 30 seconds, it's just awful. And finally for The Simpsons, in the 2007 Simpsons game called The Simpsons Game, It features the family realizing they're inside a video game, which of course means there's going to be a ton of references and interpretations of classic video game characters, such as Mega Mole Man X. Inside the level where Bart and Lisa travel inside a video game is where there are the most references. And what do you know, in the background we can see this amazingly hilarious Sonic the Hedgehog that's slowly walking around a hamster wheel, and the best part is if you wait around he'll say a few funny lines like,
I used to be so fast. I forget why I hated Eggman so much. Oh, I can't spin anymore, my back. People don't remember, but the 90s was great. That shadow version of me, nicest guy in the world, misunderstood.
Megas XLR? Never heard of it? Yeah, me neither. It was a Cartoon Network show that aired in 2004 and wasn't very popular, but there is an episode where the characters visit a Thanksgiving Day parade and come across floats of the Fabio brothers and Augie the Adorable Aardvark, which is extremely blatant about being a Sonic parody with his rows of blue spikes and red running shoes. The characters make fun of him, calling him lame, which is fucking bullshit. Sonic is rad. Until it turns around and transforms into this huge buff monster that they now have to fight, which is honestly not that surprising compared to a lot of the stuff this fanbase draws anyway. This isn't the only Cartoon Network show to reference Sonic a bunch. It seems almost every modern show out there has a reference or two to Sonic, some more subtle and some extremely fucking blatant. Let's start with Mad, an animated sketch comedy that heavily relied on parodying trendy media, sort of like a kid's version of Robot Chicken. One of my favourites being a Scott Pilgrim parody that straight up uses a cutout of Michael Cera's face. Again, I just want to briefly mention some of these, since while I think they're interesting, a lot of them do just end up calling him Sonic the Hedgehog and not, I don't know, Zippy the Zebra. There's this bizarre image of Amy that briefly appears in a skit that almost looks like it was trying to emulate the Saturn era artwork. That was 100% not intentional, though it was just some random artist. Then Sonic and Robotnik appear in a segment called Diary of a Kid Icarus. Yeah, I don't think this show is very good. It's basically if Dorkly got their own television series. There's another that parodies a toy commercial for Sonic the Hedgehog shoes. And finally, there's an awful courtroom segment, which features this god-awful looking Sonic with the red nose, separated eyes, and Chris Chan's mortal rival, Blue Arms. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, the show is terrible and scrapes the bottom of the barrel for material. I mean, your show must be pretty fucking desperate if you're making a parody of Planet Sheen.
Kevin James!
I got such good romance advice from the Talking Animals and Zookeeper, I thought you guys could give me good career advice.
Next is OKKO. I know I said I wouldn't talk about the crossover episode Let's Meet Sonic, which is anything but a parody. But since the creator Ian Jones-Cordy is a huge Sonic fan, it's not surprising Sonic references and parodies ended up in the series in other ways. For example, there's this old lady who turns out to be a jewel thief, and fittingly she ends up wearing an outfit that looks a whole lot like Rouge the Bat's, just with an orange palette instead of the usual purple and pink. Then there's the character that is literally called, I shit you not, Shadami. Yeah, it's pretty obvious the show is made by Sonic fans. And of course this character features knockoff Shadow shoes, both of their gloves, with the little inhibitor rings, and her that's trying to combine both the character styles. I think OKKO is a pretty good show, but often I feel like it relies way too heavily on referencing other media, as they do it in not so subtle ways, and these are probably the perfect example of that. At least they finally got to cut out the middleman and just have a straight up crossover, which was really good. Again, I feel a little heavy on the references. Like, if the ending to your episode is literally a word-for-word recreation of the Sonic OVS scene, then what makes your moment stand out on its own, you know? And finally, the last Cartoon Network parody I'd like to mention is a character from Craig of the Creek called Slide the Ferret. This one goes all out, even featuring references to his Sonic Adventure pose, the comics, and an entire backstory animated for him, and his nemesis Dr. Robomlet, where we can even see a metal slide and... I don't know, anyone else think this is a little too on the nose? I don't know. I suppose I prefer it when this stuff is a little more subtle or more of its own thing. Like when SpongeBob wanted to parody Adam West's Batman, they made an entirely separate character that stands on his own. They didn't just go onto Photoshop, change the colors around and call it a day. It's probably just a me thing though, more Sonic representation can only be a good thing I suppose. Now to get back in the world of gaming, I think it's time to talk about one of the most interesting Sonic parodies I've ever seen, and it's in a little known Dreamcast game called Illbleed. Now from what I've heard, this game is pretty decent. Not amazing, but it's a unique little horror game. But why am I mentioning this? I don't hear you ask, as I think it's fairly obvious that this is leading into a moment where there's a Sonic parody. There's a point in this game where you're controlling this small little toy guy and you run across this giant razor-toothed bloodshot demon version of Sonic. sporting torn gloves with sharp claws, similar looking feet, yellow eyes, and bat wings. Kinda looks like the Warhog, actually. This is then followed up by a boss fight, where the uncreatively dubbed Sonic will try to stomp and spin dash at you, and in return you have to shoot him, and when you do, a flurry of gold hexagons fly out of him. He even does the iconic Sonic finger wag at a certain point. This is great. This sort of thing would have terrified me as a kid, and that's why I love it. It's so genuinely creepy and unsettling, and I'm so happy Sega approved of something like this back then. Well, that's all the Sonic parodies that immediately came to my mind. If you can think of any more, leave them in the comments for me to check out, instead of bitching about me missing shit. But I think all this is a good testament as to how far Sonic has come in pop culture, and hopefully with the movie bringing it back to relevancy, we'll see a lot more Sonic parodies in the future. Yes, I know he came back.